technique is to use the DuraSeal that you have. This is simply a acrylic material, a polymethyl methacrylate material with a plasticizer in it, so it doesn't get hard. So it stays a little bit soft. If it sits in the person's mouth for a month, it'll get hard. But these are only supposed to be in for like 10 days or so before you take them out. So for short-term temporary, it stays soft enough you can get it back out. So you can paint and use, and remember, you're going to be using a flame next to a flammable material. The methyl methacrylate monomer is flammable, so just be a little bit cautious with it whenever you're doing this, so you don't intentionally set something on fire. We periodically have a fire in here doing this sort of thing. But the steps are to take an instrument that preferably isn't your best instrument. So this is a broken RGS 1.2 here. Heat up the instrument a little bit, and these got to purchase stopping sticks. They're in a box about so big, but you can just check it out from the island in the clinic. They look like little wax sticks when they're done. These have just been chopped up by Dr. Morgan to give you something to use. And if you just heat up the instrument a little bit, these melt at a very low temperature, so it'll stick right into it. And then, you flame it just enough to soften it slightly. You're not trying to do much. And you're going to push that down interproximally. And this is where having a condenser really works. You're trying to get it down into the embrasure between the teeth. You actually want to touch the gingiva so your DuraSeal doesn't get on the gingiva. You're trying to protect that, and you're trying to get it below the contact, so when you flow the DuraSeal over it, the DuraSeal flows under the adjacent contact that helps to lock it in. You don't put the stopping into the rest of it, and before you did it, this is not going to seal the tooth, so before you do it, you put the DuraSeal on. So that desensitizes the tooth short term, and this just fills the space. So at this point, you pick up the monomer and the powder, the Nylon technique for any acrylic. You flow it into the tooth, work it into the portions of the prep that you want to get covered. And in this case, there's a little onlay on the distal lingual.
You would have tried it in, found there was no contact, and then.
And of course, the main beauty of this is so quick. But the other thing is that this acrylic is now over your margins. So we're trying to protect the margins until we cement the inlay. This is the way to do it. Our regular inlays fill the prep, but they don't cover the margins. This covers the margins. So this is where you take your gloved finger, you stick it in against the cheek, you get it wet, and you just adapt this down in. Okay, so you want to do that. Then you have the person bite on it, tap a couple of times. You do the same thing again, make sure it's smooth on the buccal and lingual, have them bite again, go through some dispersive movements, that's your occlusal adjustment, and then you send them home. Now it might be really ugly, you can take a warm instrument and if there's still some gutta percha sticking out, you just want to make sure you don't burn the patient's gingiva or anything doing that. You don't have to get it very hot. This melts at a very low temperature pieces. Well, you can temporize an occlusal with this, you can do any kind of temporary. The one thing you can do is re-cement these. All the times in the clinic that people say, well, my patient lost a temporary, I need to re-cement it. You don't re-cement these, okay? There's no cement. The idea is that by not having cement in there, we don't have anything to interfere with the inlay seating. So when we take it out, we just clean it out with a little cotton pellet and some DuraSeal or maybe a little pumice to clean it out, make sure there's no debris in there, but there's no residue of cement to interfere with the seating of the inlay, so we get the perfect margins. It covers the margins of the prep, so it limits that a little bit in terms of potential for chipping margins. It protects them a little bit by covering it. It's very quick. The terrible thing is it leaks, so you have some cold sensitivity from it. So when this is set, it will still be firm. You're just going to take your spoon excavator, go in and engage the proximal and lift it out. This hasn't set enough to have it work. So you'll find that in the clinic it takes a little bit more effort than this, but it does stay soft. You get that out, you got to get the gutta percha out of the proximal, and then you just check that everything's clean before you try the inlay back in.